time to play some stuff.
Goodmane's Log, number 151121. As if my numbering in this adventure journal wasn't confusing enough, I decided to switch things up once again to confuse people even more. I don't know, I seem to be having a little too much fun doing this adventure journal. Anyways, the Exalted happens to be the name of those golden beings that I had to bring the relic to, and now that the relic was in their care, I was free to continue my explorations in the jungle, while Lauren was over by the airship wreckage sites helping the survivors. I decided I'd map things out and then she would catch up later once I told her where everything was, which is kind of a little cheap and kind of a little silly, but she has quite a heart for helping those who can't help themselves, and she was dead set on healing the survivors. Meanwhile, I was clunking around in this explorer gear, and my wanderlust had gotten the better of me. However, we did manage to meet at the main rally point at the end of the first area of the jungle where the airships crashed from time to time. So I was checking out some challenges from the local frog people, also known as Hylex, although out here the tribes have different names like Itzel and Nuhak. One Hylex challenge in particular had me in this cave with noxious gas coming out of cracks in the ground. You couldn't stay in it very long because the more of it you breathed in, the more it started messing with you. The objective was to bounce around and bunny hop from mushroom to mushroom, kicking spores out of mushrooms and then picking them up before the gas got to you, so to speak. I will never look at Don't Touch the Floor, that classic childhood game that I used to play in my much younger years, ever again. Definitely a challenge, to say the least, now that I was getting used to this gliding, and I decided that gliding should be my main focus before pressing too much further into the jungle. Sure enough, there'd probably be people that would try to do other things and get further in their exploration. But as for me, I wanted to know for certain that I could glide anywhere with my new Blackbird wing gliding apparatus, which I happened to pick up and gave Lauren the white-winged one. So yes, it was time to amount to something in this jungle by any means necessary. I also decided to liven things up with a backpack robot from some of my friends who are engineers. They were very intrigued when I mentioned the Pale Reaver's automatic firing guns, and were wondering how they could make such weapons of their own. As a thank you for my little spreading the word about that idea, so to speak, they gave me this backpack robot that randomly says things as I go about my business in the jungle. Livens things up a bit if it doesn't outright annoy the other adventurers that I happen to run into in the jungle. Nonetheless, navigating the jungle terrain and crashed airships and whatever else Mordramoth happened to throw in our faces would be my biggest challenge as far as I was concerned, so I wanted to learn the ropes of gliding before I really went too much further. Now, there are some adventurers that would think I was a wimp, and I was wimping out on adventuring further into the jungle, but I had a feeling that trying to develop my gliding skills ahead of time would pay off if I spent the time to really get good at it and bring Lauren up to speed on what I had learned. As for the relic, I was very glad to have such a valuable piece of history off of my back, well, quite literally no longer on my back. It was as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Okay, I'll stop trying to be funny and failing miserably, because I'm an adventurer, not a comedian. The relic had been stored in an absolutely beautiful vault in the vaults of the Golden City. The Exalted would safeguard it with, I would say, their lives, but I'm not quite so sure in what state these creatures exist. They seem to be a cross between energy, magic, and very sparkly armor. Nonetheless, this relic was most certainly in good hands, and it was a relief knowing that I could continue my adventures around the jungle and training in jungle gliding without having to worry about this thing. Although, quite frankly, from what it looks like, I'm not so sure I'd call it an egg. I know it's tied to the legendary dragon Glint, but I don't know. But no matter what secrets we unearthed in our quest to stop Mordramoth, we all knew that our talents as adventurers would be put to good use, for the good of Tyria and the good of all. Goodmane out. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, also known as MultimediaJay, back to the normal voice, and check it out! Finally some commentary in these Play Some Schtuff videos for Guild Wars 2. So I've obviously completely broken character, and by the way, for the trivia nerds in the audience, yes, that the whole dialogue I've been doing with Mr. Goodmane's Jungle Adventures here was inspired by the Naked Gun movies, so I hope I haven't drebbened it up a little too much, so to speak, for some folks' tastes. So as you've noticed, as I've covered Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns in the Play Some Schtuff series, it has veered very wildly from what this series is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be commentary, and I haven't been doing that. Shoot, we're almost a month into Heart of Thorns, and I still haven't done any kind of first impressions or any kind of real commentary, just this pseudo-machinima stuff that you've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. Well, as I've mentioned in the State of the Channel discussion that I recently hosted, that ends here. Play Some Schtuff is about commentary, and that's what it's going to be about. I am going to spin off all of this narrative-driven pseudo-machinima into its own series. So, basically, I think I'm going to call it the Goodmane Saga. We'll start out with that as like a working title or something, but obviously this stuff has veered wildly from the commentary series that I like to do with gaming commentaries, mixes between reviews and Let's Plays, etc. So, that it's time to call a spade and admit that it's time for things to change. This narrative-driven stuff has taken on a life of its own, therefore, it's time to have its own series. And that is exactly what's going to happen. As for this little hybrid experiment that you've been seeing for the last couple of weeks, let's conclude it with a montage featuring an excellent new overclocked remix of Guild Wars 2 music that just came out. It's called Embrace the Night. It's a remix of Fear Not This Night from Guild Wars 2, remixed by Brandon Strader and Cheryl Norfair, ocremix.org. An incredible song, and I seriously think this should be the theme for the Goodmane Saga for Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns from here on out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and game on!
And your weary eyes open silently. Sunsets have forsaken all the most far off horizons. Nightmares come and shadows grow. Eyes closed and hope beats slow. Fear not this night, you will not go astray. Though shadows fall, still the stars find their way. And you can always be strong. Lift your voice with the first light of dawn. Dawn's just a heartbeat away. Hope's just a sunrise away. Distant sounds of melodies calling through the night to your heart. Auroras, myths, and echoes dance in the solitude of our life. Bleeding silent arias, gently grieving in captive misery. Darkness sings a forlorn song in our hope.